Alright, welcome. This is Pounding Rocks Truck Shop. We got a camera guy here today. What's your channel's name?
No! God, please, no!
Oh, alright. I'm going to pose a question to you VG33 guys because I'm now extremely confused as to what is really going on with this thing. If you look closely over here, I have now pulled the injector rails out and I see no evidence of any kind of physical leaking. There was no leakage around the fuel pressure regulator. It was holding about, and then as soon as I disconnected it, you could hear some gurgling from the return line, and that was the end of that. So no fuel line. I didn't drop very much fuel at all, just a couple drops here and there. You can see the feed line here is dripping because there's probably some residuals from the filter, but that is nothing. I pulled number 5 spark plug, and it looks just the same as all the others on pretty much the rest of the truck. You can see clear evidence of running extremely rich. The other 3 on this bank 1, all look the same as well. I shined a light down into each one of these, the grommets where the injectors mount. This one back here, number 5, is wet down at the bottom of the valley in there. So I don't know if that means anything. That's why I pulled number 5 plug. Number 5 plug is not wet. So now I'm confused there. So we're not leaking any fuel, we're not dripping any fuel, and we don't have any wet plugs so far.
What the dog doing?
I've got the injector rail right here. This is the one that was on the truck with the fuel pressure regulator, which has been removed as well. If you look here, it's kind of, might be hard to see at this lighting, but we got gold pot metal here, and then this side is discolored. I don't know if that means anything. There is a little bit of wetness here around cylinder 6, just a little bit, and it might be from drippage from here, I don't know. But it's not soaking wet. You know, I could touch every single one of these, and there's not a drip of fuel coming out anywhere. It held 2 pounds overnight, and then it went away as soon as I disconnected this. This is not original to this truck. So you can tell the color difference between the pot metal on that and the pot metal on this. This could very well be the problem. But I'm posing the question to all the VG viewers out here that might be able to shed some light on this thing. When I disconnected the main feed fuel line right here, there was still fuel in the rail, and it didn't leak out until I actually tipped it upside down and let it feed out. No fuel came out of here until I pulled the regulator out. I don't see any real evidence of anything other than number 5 here. This cap looks a little dark. I don't know if that means anything. I don't know. So my thoughts are, I'm going to order a rebuild O-ring set for these. I'm going to order a new fuel pressure regulator. I'm going to order the full set so I get the O-rings here as well. I didn't see any evidence of any damage to the O-rings here. These that sit in the intake manifold right here. I don't see any evidence of damage. I don't see any evidence other than a little bit of dampness down inside this hole, deep inside this hole, which you probably wouldn't see with the camera. But actually, you know, looking at it, it could be a whole series of small things adding up to one big thing too. I've had that happen, where you got tiny little vacuum leaks, which is, when's Thursday? Tomorrow? No, it's Thursday, isn't it? I order them Thursday because that's payday, so I'll get those seals coming. And I guess the next step would be to wait for an answer from anybody that's going to chime in on the channel. See if they got any other ideas before I pull the upper timing cover. I'm going to pull this guy right here. I'm going to set it to top dead center and check the timing marks and make sure that the belt hasn't jumped. And that's very possible too. Or I'm overthinking it and it's just fouled plugs that cause this whole problem. But my main concern is, what if that's the case, why did I lose fuel pressure overnight when before it would hold fuel pressure for a month at a time? That's the big question. I don't know. So give me a comment down below and let me know what you think. Have you seen this before? What's my next course of action? I'm going to wait till I get some comments and see if it says anything that I can try with the engine in this condition. Slap it back together maybe and see if it starts. Worst case scenario, I pull the cover and look at the timing. What was one other thing I was thinking of here was somebody mentioned changing injectors to different size injectors. The reason being is that the original injectors that this computer is programmed to operate are small. They're like 180 cc's. These are 370 cc's. There's almost 200 cc difference between these and the original, and that's the amount of volume that the injectors put out per second. So if the computer says on for 1 second, off for 1 second, they'll spray 370 cc's of fuel into the cylinder in that 1 second. And the trick is the computer is going to back that off. It's never going to hold it for a whole second. It's going to do it in milliseconds. But if these spray 200 cc's more per second than the originals, these are going to run too rich no matter what I try. So the next question for all the fine folks on this channel is, would I be better off swapping these injectors to a VG33E, a non-supercharged engine, which those put out about 50 less cc's per second, which means that this computer would have a better chance of controlling them since they're not going to put out as much. But they're still putting out more than the original. They're putting out, 108 or 150 or whatever more than the original. Of another VG33ER, this is how bad they can look. I'm sure this engine was just running wonderful before it ended up in the junkyard. But like all things, you can always take a little bit of elbow grease and clean them up. Somebody even took the time to RTV them. So they must have been having a leakage problem of some kind. But I'm not using this rail. I'm just looking at this rail to compare it to this rail, which looks really, really nice. This is a junkyard rail too. I have no idea why those engines were in the yard, but it's good. I don't see any wiring issues. I just am not sure what the next step would be. I pulled the distributor cap. I looked, the rotor is still tight. I thought maybe that came loose and was, just spinning on the shaft. That's fine. So that's the question. Do these injectors look decent? Would you recommend? I mean, you can clearly see the color difference, especially on, so this would be 1, 3, and 5, these darker color ones, and these are 2, 4, and 6 on this side. You can clearly see a color difference between the two sides. Almost like one side was running hot, or one side was getting something, because this has got some bluing to it here, like it got hot. The rest of them don't really have that. 15 steps back, and now we're back to where we were at the end of 2020. This is where it was. If you look at Instagram, you can see where I had this taken apart to this point with golf balls plugging the holes. Anyways, let me know what you guys think of the new videographer too, with his irrelevant channel, which he'll probably name later. He's just probably too shy. Anyways, if you're new here, this is a 1992 Nissan Pathfinder. It's been body swapped to a pickup truck cab with a 6-foot back rack off of a Chevrolet pickup. And the engine is out of a 2003 Xterra Supercharged. It's currently running the 1992 Pathfinder computer. I know it runs. I know it runs. But we gotta just figure out why it was running so rich. Still trying to get those kidney bean dust out of my nose. It's awful. I asked every farmer, I went to every farm today and I asked them, I said, what do you do to get bean dust out of your nose? And they're like, you just live with it. I'm like, this is terrible. So I sniffed kidney beans on Monday, and now my nose just smells like kidney beans all day long. And it was totally because they were sweeping the floor and it went up my nose. What are you gonna do? Anyways, that's it. That's all I got for you today. Thanks for tuning in. That's it.